There's a Christian by the name of Smokey Saint. I've gone on his livestream a few times. The few interactions I've had with him were genuine in nature, and during our conversations, I never called him names or questioned his motives. However, the last time I had a chat with him, I asked him questions that he absolutely hated, and thus I was kicked off his stream and then insulted. Now, before we watch the following clips, keep in mind there were about 7 people in the stream, so naturally there was some over-talking and irrelevant rabbit trails. Given this, I'm going to edit some stuff out. It won't interfere with the context, but I'll link the stream down below for you to see for yourself if you feel so inclined. With that said, here we go. Smokey, do you think that God, if there is a God and it's your God, do you think that he knows literally everything in existence, past, present, and future?
Yes.
So when he creates a soul, or whenever a soul is born into the world, he knows where that soul is going to be when that soul dies, right?
Well, you say it that way like he's like micromanagingly.
No, he's not interfering. He just knows.
Yes, he knows. I know where you're going, Germania, and you're actually going to end up making a challenge to against God's righteousness is where you're going to end up. I know where you think you're going, but I also tell you this: were you Calvinist, Reformed type of theology that you came from? I mean, I think we asked you this before, but
I wasn't. Although I will say this:
were they Armenian? Were they Molinist, Monergist? Do you know?
Oh, I wouldn't know. All I know is growing up in the church in my family.
If you didn't know, I'm gonna probably go ahead and say right now, 90% chance it was closer to Reformed theology and predestinarian, at least.
Just let me say it. All I was taught growing up is, God's powerful. He's all powerful. He knows everything. But I logically could follow the breadcrumbs there and say, okay, so he knows what I'm going to do tomorrow before tomorrow comes. That was just on me. I was just like, okay, I can connect these dots. He knows what I'm going to do.
Let me run this by you because I think I answered this before. Maybe you don't like the answer or you're just not catching it. I'll try again. If judging someone before they've done something, is that moral? Even if you know they're going to do it.
It's funny. That's actually a thought I've pondered quite a bit, especially after watching Minority Report with Tom Cruise. It deals with that very subject.
Can I ask a clarifying question to that question, Smokey?
Go ahead.
Are you speaking particularly within God's framework, or are you asking like even on the framework of a human? Like,
look at that. Leo gets it. Leo already got it.
If somebody came to me and told me they were going to murder somebody, are you asking me if it's right or wrong to judge them, even though they haven't done it yet, because God forbid they might not? Or is it more like within God's framework? Because I would
the second one.
Applying that to God.
You hit it on the second one. Yes, I know where you're going, Leo, and yes, you have it. Let's clarify now. It's a difference in relativity.
You have a relative position of the human and a relative position of God, each with different moral agency. Now, once God judges the human before the human does the action, it's now immoral, relative to the human in their process of actually being judged. So in that particular instance, God respects the nature of the time space that he created. So like, for instance, like David, he's loving God, doing what he's doing, operating in faith, living a life righteously. All of his decisions make sense and have substance because he could choose to do the other thing. The fact he didn't choose the other thing means that the reason that when he chooses the good thing, that means it had value, substance, because he chose to do it. So he's going through all this, doing this walk, and then before he actually even has the thought to sin with Bathsheba and cause all this misery on his household, God shows up and judges him. Or God shows up and imposes some sort of judgment or hedge or redirection or something against him. God is now stepping into reality to prejudge him before he's done the action inside the time space that God created for God to also respect, so that people's choices actually had meaning to them. Instead of no meaning at all, just a pre-scripted program. That's not what God created. Choices have to have meaning. So, if God was to judge him before he did it, that would be amoral relative to David, and fundamentally so because it would be now amoral to God to have actually broken the cycle of agency and morality that he set in reality. So, he will not actually prejudge before the action takes place. This in order to maintain a stance of righteousness in this particular time space with this particular fallen world. He is morally passive instead of morally proactive.
That's the nature of reality.
Believe it or not, I'm not even asking about his judgments. I'm just saying, all I'm saying is this.
What you're saying is God is obligated to not create someone cursed.
Smokey, hold on. God.
See, this is the problem, Germania. You don't actually listen to my answers when I'm giving it to you.
I was listening.
Well, I see what Germania is doing. He wants to make an argument, and he didn't catch that what you said already accounts and like
Right.
that you
That's the
cut him
problem.
off before it's possible. Like he just
Oh, well,
doesn't follow.
okay,
He
go ahead,
doesn't follow
finish.
the
Okay.
connection between the argument
We'll
he
try
wants to
again.
make.
We'll try again from. Let's try and let him reframe his question, or maybe
Okay,
reframe his terms, and then
so
we'll try again from the base. Go ahead, Germania.
okay, so when I was born, God knew I was going to be born before the universe was existed, right?
That's really messy.
I'm not saying anything about judgments. He just knows.
Bro, I really struggle with you because, like, literally, it's like, and I don't mean to be mean, but like you
Can
do.
you just
Well, I'm
go
just saying,
ahead?
like, you sound like you became a Christian for like a week and then deconverted. Like your like terminology is just like painful.
You see how he dodged the question? Whether I was a Christian for 20 years or 5 minutes, what relevance does it have to my question? The answer, 0. But hey, when someone asks you a challenging question, just deflect. Am I right, Smokey?
Like, in terms of, like, you keep saying, like, nope, I wasn't Calvinist, I wasn't predestinarian, and yet every single question you ask is framed that way. So, like, I don't, like, you're really hard to deal with on this stuff, bro. You're either being dishonest and trolly, or
I'm sure I'm not.
we're incredibly incompetent about your faith.
I was not a Calvinist, nor did I believe in predestination. However, it's easy to get to the bottom of my question by using logic. God is omniscient, so God knew before I existed that I would turn into an atheist, and therefore be fated to the lake of fire. I didn't say God predestined me. I didn't say God made me an atheist. I didn't ask about God's judgments. I didn't ask about God judging a person before said person could commit a sin. I'm simply following the logical conclusion that if God exists and is all-knowing, then he clearly knew I'd go to hell when he created me. It's really that simple. But Smokey just couldn't bring himself to agree, even though my logic is sound. If Smokey would have just listened to me, he wouldn't bring up irrelevant topics that I wasn't even bringing up, like God judging a person before said person could sin, for example. Now, it was at this point Nicholas put in his 2 cents, which was unfortunately completely irrelevant and served no purpose in relation to my question. So we'll skip that part. But to be fair, I actually like Nicholas. I think he's a genuinely nice person, unlike Smokey. I'll put it to you this way. Jesus said, "They will know you're my disciples by your love for one another." And if any Christian on that channel lives up to that, it's Nicholas. Granted, that's not a high bar given the group of hateful people he surrounds himself with, but it is what it is, I guess. Anyway, let's continue. Okay, so
Wow, essence and
There are
existence.
definitely problems with that.
okay, so all I'm saying is when a soul is born into this existence, God knows where that soul is going to be when that soul leaves existence.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Yes. What then?
So why would he create souls that he knows in advance?
Oh my God,
Suffer
I
for
just can't
eternity?
anymore. See, I just can't anymore.
I would
It's a
actually like
genuine
to answer that
question.
I can't.
May I
I'm not-
answer that question?
I'm not.
Yeah,
trolling.
go ahead, Leo.
Because-
Maybe you
Because I'm curious to know if the
Stop
theists,
catching.
if the theists in here would agree with it. And I'm speaking from the
Still
perspective I had, at least when I was a Christian, is that when a human is brought into the world, at least to in a certain sense, God doesn't create them. They were brought into the world under the free will of 2 other individuals.
Correct. Yes,
So,
correct. This is why
I
he
mean,
keeps
it's
framing
not
his
like God
stupid
said you have
questions.
to make.
So I'm here because my parents conceived me? Well, duh, that's obviously true, but according to the Christian view, that's only partially true, because according to Christianity, God made me a soul in his own image. He either brought me into existence directly or indirectly. And even if God didn't have a divine hand in making me, though I'm sure most Christians would object to that notion, God still knew I would exist. And since I'm not a Christian, he knew my existence would end up in hell. Yet he made me anyway. But let's continue.
This is why he keeps framing his stupid questions with stupid predestinarian talk, because he's not interested in truth. He just
Okay, so
basically
God
wants
didn't
to
bring me
try
into
and
the
catch
world.
with
It was my
bad
parents.
No, your parents did.
Yes, dude.
God
your
let
parents
your
chose
parents
to bring
bring
you
you
into
So
the world.
God had no knowledge of my existence prior to my parents.
Okay, you are connecting knowledge and action, and this is again
Yeah,
philosophical.
I was just about to say that.
Go ahead, Leo. Correct him, please.
I wasn't going to correct you. I was just about to say what you said. Is there's a difference between what God would know and what God chooses to do based on what he knows.
Once again, that's a completely irrelevant point. Not once did I bring up anything about God intervening in the daily affairs of life to prevent a crime before it happens. Don't get me wrong, that's a topic that deserves its own video, and I briefly covered it in my video, Free Will, Evil, and God's Unanswered Prayer. But Smokey was too damn dense to get what I was trying to say. Probably because he claimed that he knew what I was trying to say, instead of, listening to what I was actually saying.
Theology is a pretty interesting subject, and one
Otherwise,
thing
you're
that
saying God doesn't have the power to act against what he knows. That's just an incoherent, ridiculous statement. It makes no sense. Like, he can't choose what to do based upon what he knows. This is your argument about God? That's basically what you're doing, Germania, with your stupid language and your stupid questions.
I mean, why are you limiting your God, dude?
Dude,
God
all I
is
am
by his own
saying,
nature, Ronnie.
all I am
God is
saying,
limited by his own nature. Oh, well, no, I don't expect Ronnie to follow that. He wasn't even.
all I am saying
I'm
is
way
God
too
knew
dumb.
I would be part of his
You never even-
creation,
You
and
never
God
even
knew that I would not believe in him. Therefore, God knew I would suffer in eternity once I die. That's all I'm saying.
Okay,
I'm not saying
well,
anything about
you
judgment.
know
I'm
what?
not saying anything
Enjoy
about
it.
him.
God's not
Okay.
limited. He's
All right.
by his nature. He's true to his
I'm
nature.
not saying he's limited. As a matter of fact, I'm saying he's unlimited because he knows the knowledge. He's all knowing.
Y'all are the ones saying he's limited.
Let me try a real simple anecdote for you. Let's say you know the lottery numbers tomorrow. Are you a lottery winner if you don't go buy a ticket?
No.
Okay. So whether or not you know what's going to happen is completely irrelevant to whether or not you act on what's going to happen, correct?
That's what makes God a douchebag.
He's not obligated to act, Ronnie. That's the other issue.
I know. That's what makes him the douchebag.
Well,
Do I really have to repeat myself and say how irrelevant that is to my question? The raging atheist said God could prevent a crime before it happens, but he doesn't. That makes God a dick. And I absolutely agree. Rage was right on the money. But that still wasn't my point, not even in the slightest. Maybe the Rage and I should make a video on that particular topic at some point, though, about how God could prevent evil before it happens, but chooses not to. But again, it's not even what I was talking about, but Smokey just assumed that's what I was saying. Listen, God made souls he knew would end up in hell. Even though God knew these souls would go to hell, he made them anyway. That's 100% accurate according to the Bible's logic, is it not? Now, let's move on to the part where Smokey kicked me off the stream. The topic at this point was about how the Bible indicates a flat earth.
Yeah, so the word that they say is ball. It can mean any sort of lump. It does not have to have any kind of perfect shape. So it actually refers more to the size of the object being handheld, like something that's handheld and fits in the palm of your hand is more what that word quote unquote ball means. It is not a geometric word meaning sphere or something like that. So when they say that they could have used the word ball but didn't, that doesn't make sense because the earth is huge and that's not what that word means. It doesn't refer to huge objects.
Well, they had the word...
Circle was the only word they really had for a shape like sphere. That's just the way the language was, as far as we know.
Are you done,
They had
Nicholas?
the word kadur, and that means a ball. And they could have described the earth as...
I just
kadur.
answered that question. Jeez, girl. You
Leo,
cannot have
but-
a huge
no,
kadur.
But
They
they could have figuratively, if you would
Holy
like,
gosh.
refer to the world as a kadur.
No, Gur, I'm sorry, but you know what? Now I'm legit convinced no one is actually that dumb. You're gonna have to step out for a bit. So you want to stick around later?
Leo,
I
can I ask you a
appreciate
question?
that, Smokey.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry. No one can
Yeah, Chris.
possibly be that stupid and actually on like he must be just trolling, not even trying to get the answers. I'm done.
So Nicholas said the word kadur means ball, which is true. But in his mind, a ball is small and can be held. Therefore, that wouldn't be an accurate description of the shape of the earth, according to Nicholas. Now, I do admit that I initially didn't hear him say kadur, probably because I was drunk. But my point still stands, because ball is a way more accurate description of the shape of the earth than a circle. And wouldn't you know it, Smokey kicked me off the stream and put me backstage for saying that. And of course, he called me dumb and insisted I must be trolling because, heaven forbid, I think ball better describes the earth than a f***ing circle. Plates, frisbees, and some tables are circles, but guess what? They're f***ing flat. So a ball would have easily been a better description. See my video, Does the Bible Support a Flat Earth, for more on that topic. But anyway, Nicholas, how are you going to say a ball couldn't have at least figuratively been a better word than, pillars holding up the earth? I mean, come on, really? You know what's really ironic? The title of that stream was, I Challenge the Cowards. And yet, he kicked me off. I guess he really wasn't up for the challenge after all. He also kicked off Marty, Leo, and the Raging Atheist because he claimed they were trolling. I guess asking legitimate questions is trolling. Yeah, that sounds like Christian logic to me. So yeah, Smokey is the definition of a child who doesn't get his way. I had put up with his nuanced jabs at me in previous interactions with him before, but as soon as he silenced me, that was it. Simply put, I will not put up with someone who censors me for simply asking genuine questions. So I have no intentions of joining his stupid live streams or talking to him anymore. And really, the fact that he's a fan of Matt Powell and Mr. Batman has always troubled me anyway. Both Matt Powell and Mr. Batman think the government should kill gay people. And yet, I've never seen Smokey challenge them on any of it. As a matter of fact, Smokey had Mr. Batman co-host a live stream, and Mr. Batman, of course, spewed hatred and bigotry. Have a look.
Somebody had just put in the text channel here that that they understood that I, Mr. Batman, said that or implied that gay people should be put to death for being gay. Do I understand him right? Can he clarify? Actually, I'm gay, but I'm not a homosexual pervert. Let's be clear. I'm a happy, gay, joyful, giddy individual, but I'm not a homosexual pervert. And perverts should be put to death, but we don't live in a theocracy today. I agree that pedophiles who are sexual perverts should be put to death. Every sexual pervert, I believe, should be put to death, but we don't live in a theocracy that actually does that nowadays.
As you can see, pedophiles and homosexuals are the same to Mr. Batman, and should be put to death. And what did our dear Smokey Saint say to this?
Beautiful.
Well,
I hope
no,
I
I
made
think that's
myself
actually a
clear.
great answer. No, I think that's a great answer, personally.
You know, this makes me wonder why someone like Nicholas would associate with these hateful people. Maybe I'm naive by thinking he's a decent Christian. Anyway, I'll conclude with this. Smokey, I really appreciate you and what you do. You garner far more criticism to Christianity than I ever could. So, thank you.